let's talk about exactly what they look like. And since we have people joining us from around the world and with varying levels of agility experience, including those who are very new to agility, I want to take a moment to share the foundational knowledge of weave poles before we move in for the more advanced items. And actually having a visual of what good weave poles looks like is a great place to start. All right, so next, let's talk about the direction that dogs weave, right? So for those of you that may be newer, the dogs will always enter and exit toward the left, okay? So that's one of the core foundations of the weave poles. Next, the number of poles that you may see in training or on a course and what they look like. Basically, you're going to have 6 or 12 weave poles. We have 6 poles on the left and 12 weave poles on the right. And because here we are in a webinar and sometimes on a course map, you will actually see a graphic of the weave poles. And so I wanted to show you what that looks like. The graphic is the 6 poles on the left and the 12 poles on the right. That's the digital version of what it looks like. And while we're talking about all those tech specs, there are 24 inches in between the poles, which means that 6 poles will be 12 feet long and 12 poles will be 24 feet long. In terms of terminology, what people call weave poles, they call it weave, wiggle, slalom, in and out, back and forth. I've heard people say left, right, left, right. There's all sorts of names and none of them are wrong. All right, so let's talk about why is weave pole training essential? Basically, number one, it's often a required obstacle. If your dog can't weave and they cannot perform that required obstacle, then it's almost impossible for you to achieve your agility goals, right? You have to be able to weave and get your dog through those weave poles in order to advance. Also, weave pole training is essential for the safety of your dogs. One of the things we don't want our dogs to do, for example, is to slam into the poles. We literally want them to move from left to right as they're going back and forth. So why is weave pole training overwhelming? Well, because first of all, no dog is a natural weaver. When we look at other obstacles, such as the ramps, the A-frame, and the jumps, compared to those activities, those are activities that dogs do naturally. However, when it comes to dogs weaving, they do not, for example, see a line of trees in nature and think, today I'm going to weave. So if you're overwhelmed by the weave poles, I can guarantee you so is your dog. And I want you to listen up because this is important. Weave training requires additional skills beyond the act of teaching your dog to move back and forth.